Welcome to part 2 in our grief series. So last time we allowed the colors of grief to simply flow. We didn't have a plan, we were not trying to control them, but today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to take the dried piece of artwork and then simply begin tracing around the shapes and colors with a fine tip black pen. Now, as I do this, I want to invite you to think about your own grief. Not to fix it, not to make sense of it, but just to notice it. Almost like we're creating a map for our grief. Now, the first thing I noticed when I looked at this dried piece of artwork was how different it looked once it dried. There were colors and shapes that I hadn't really noticed before, and I think grief can often be like that. At first, everything can feel like one huge, overwhelming emotion, but as the time passes, we begin to notice different pieces. There's sadness, there's anger, there might be loneliness, gratitude, the memories, the things we miss. And we start to see that grief isn't just one emotion, it's a whole landscape. So as I outline these shapes, I'm not going to try and change them. I'm simply noticing them. And maybe that's something that we can practice with grief too. Instead of saying, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or I need to move on, we can simply say that this is part of what I'm carrying today. And bring that honestly before the Lord. Psalm 147 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. I love that it doesn't say that God asks us to hide our broken hearts. He meets us in them. He sees the places that hurt. And He's gentle with them. Sometimes I think we rush towards healing because we want the pain to go away. But perhaps there are also moments when God simply invites us to just sit with Him and let Him be present in the middle of it. As I keep drawing these lines, I'm beginning to think of this as a map. A map doesn't tell you that the mountain shouldn't be there. It simply shows you where the mountain is. And perhaps that's what we're doing here. We're simply mapping out what it is we miss, what it is we're grateful for, what the memories are that we keep coming back to. Not trying to solve any of it, we can simply acknowledge that it is there. So if you're doing this alongside me, please don't worry about being artistic. We just follow the lines that are already there. You map the outline of the edges. Follow a little pathway, trace around a color, and perhaps add a few lines of your own. And as you do that, you could quietly ask God, Lord, what am I carrying today? And then just notice what comes. You don't have to force an answer, and you don't even have to put it in words. Just allow yourself to be present. And then as the artwork develops, look at what's happening. The original painting hasn't disappeared. I'm not covering any of it up. I'm simply adding another layer. And I think that this is important because grief doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending that the loss didn't happen. It becomes part of our story. So maybe today your grief feels messy. Maybe you don't know what you're feeling. And maybe you thought you were doing okay. And then suddenly something brought it all back. And that is perfectly okay. You don't have to have grief figured out, and you don't have to rush through it. We can take it one day, one emotion, one memory, literally one breath at a time. And you can bring all of this to God, for He already knows the landscape of your heart. I'll see you in the next one for part 3.